Your ability to sign high ticket clients does not depend on the algorithm. It comes down to your ability to position yourself as unique, get people to buy into your philosophy and worldview, and create a home run offer based on that. Let's look at 3 client examples to illustrate this. Vera grew 12,000 followers on Instagram in just 6 weeks. She's added $6,700 American in that same time frame, had to increase prices, and she's flooded with leads and DM conversations. Trip grew a new Instagram account to 9,200 followers. He signed multiple clients to $1,500 a month in a niche where selling $1,000 a month packages is not easy. He's created a really cool functional movement offer in the fitness space, and I've worked with multiple fitness coaches who have had great testimonials, who are really good at what they do, make lots of money, and they've had difficulty selling for $1,000 a month. He signed multiple clients on a new offer, and he's absolutely crushing. Yali got 14.6 million views on Instagram in May 2026. For his ecom brand, he went from making $17K in March to over $30K in May. He's reduced ad spend by 90% in that time frame, and the ad money that he did spend got a 24 times return on investment at one point. He spent $150 and got back $3,600, which is incredible. These are 3 different industries and offers. All of them could have made excuses and said it was hard to find clients, but they didn't. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can position yourself in such a way that attracts dream clients no matter what the algorithm is like or how saturated the niche is. Before we kind of break down the market research portion and how to make the offer sexy and how to do all the positioning stuff, I want to break down this concept of what Trey Cockram calls belief marketing. I learned this from him, and it's something that he really put into words in a way that I had known before, but never really was able to explain as well as this. So when you are selling something online, your job is not to convince them of what your product does or what your service does, because that's cumbersome. It requires objection handling. You don't want to twist their arm. You don't want to come across as salesy. So your job instead is to sell them on the worldview, is to completely shift their beliefs, completely shift their perspective, and tell them, hey, the way you're currently looking at the world is not going to get you the desired results. Here is what's going to get you to your desired results. Because when you get them to shift their beliefs, when you get them to shift their worldview, them buying your product or service is a natural extension of this new identity they've accepted. Selling running shoes to somebody who is an ultra marathon runner is much easier than selling them to somebody who's 700 pounds. And the funny thing is, when you sell it to the marathon runner, you can actually charge way more. They're going to want to spend more, and they're going to be happy with the premium option because it's a part of their identity. It's a part of who they are. And buying good running shoes makes all the difference. Somebody who's 700 pounds shouldn't even be running. So them buying running shoes is a complete waste of time. They should be doing something else. I don't know the exact fitness protocol for helping somebody who's 700 pounds get to a good spot, but I know for sure it's not running ultra marathons immediately. And if it is, correct me in the comments. So the first thing we need to do, the first part of this equation is understanding your market, doing market research. This is the unsexy, analytical, left brain side of the equation that a lot of people skip out on, especially if they have like some form of inner work in their offer, because it's not as fun, it's not as seemingly creative, but it provides the structure for the creativity, for the emotion, for your essence and your soul to thrive in. If the inner work stuff is the spiritual, the feminine, the market research, the analytics are the masculine, and the masculine provides a container for the feminine to thrive in. Otherwise, it gets too abstract, it gets too vague, and it's hard to really quantify what's going on. And people who don't know exactly what you're talking about aren't going to buy high ticket from you. So market research, first thing is you need to pick a group of people. One, do you want to help them? Like, don't pick people that you think you can make money off of. That's a really bad equation. It's a bad idea. Pick people who you can actually help and who you want to help. Second question is, can you actually get them results? Who is this person? So what are the tangible details? Who are they? Are they a man? Are they a woman? Where do they live? Do they live in the United States? Do they live in Canada? Do they live in Europe? Do they live in Australia? Do they live in Asia? How old are they? Are they a husband? Are they a wife? Are they a mother? Are they a father? Get really clear on what the details are of this person. And now, if you're like, well, I don't know all the crystal clear details of who this person is, that's okay. We can get specific in other ways, but it helps to have a baseline. Man, over 30, working white collar job, entrepreneur, father, whatever. Make sure you have a decent baseline. Second thing is, what are their intangibles? So what are their dreams? What are their values? What are their fears? What are the things that they secretly want but they think are out of reach? When you understand the identity of the person, the stories they're telling themselves in their head about themselves, about the world, about the industry, it becomes much easier to relate to them because now they feel seen. And ultimately, the more seen somebody feels in your content, the more understood somebody feels in your content, the easier it is for them to keep coming back and wanting to watch you more and more again. Next thing is we're going to understand what their pain points are. Now, not everybody who you're selling an offer to is going to buy high ticket based on you just hammering their pain points. But it helps to understand it because you need to be able to see people and where they're at. It's the example I always give is if somebody's arm is broken, you're not, fear mongering them, telling them they're going to die because their arm is broken. However, you're not just going to gaslight them or, be a yes man or completely blow smoke up their ass and tell them that everything's okay with them and there's nothing wrong. You're going to ask them to lift their arm up and they're going to go, ow. And you're going to, oh, okay, your arm's broken. Let's go to a hospital. So there's 3 levels of pain that you're looking for. Number 1 is annoying. So it hurts, but it's not going to motivate them to act right away. This is kind of like if you're selling a fitness offer, an annoying thing is like, well, I don't know what to eat every day, or I don't know what I should be doing in the gym. Most people aren't willing to pay high ticket because of that. Second thing is what keeps them up at night. For half of your audience, this is enough to push them over the edge to actually want to learn more about what you're talking about. This could be something like they're winded when they walk up a set of stairs, or, they don't really like how they look. They feel they're getting energy crashes at like 1 p.m. The third thing is a bleeding neck problem. So I call this a bleeding neck problem because if your neck is bleeding, you're going to the hospital immediately. For them, in this fitness offer, specifically men and dads, this could be something like they want to be intimate with their wife, but their wife doesn't want to be intimate with them as much anymore. That's a bleeding neck problem. Their kids want to play with them and they want to play with their kids, but they don't have the energy to, and they actually don't even let themselves go there because they know they're going to be winded in like 5 minutes. That's a bleeding neck problem. We're primarily looking for bleeding neck problems because when you can make this person feel seen, understood, and heard, and you know what their bleeding neck problems are, they're way more likely to listen to you. And so telling them about the annoying problems, like what they should eat or what they should be doing in the gym, they're much more likely to listen to you about. Next, what is their desired situation? So what are they willing to pay the most money in order to achieve? How can you show them this, not tell them? So a key lesson in marketing is showing, not telling is super, super powerful. So let's say we're doing, we're continuing on with the fitness offer. Instead of telling them like, hey, you don't like how fat you are. You don't like how overweight you are. You don't like how you look in the mirror and you know that something needs to change. Okay, cool. They know that. But how can you get it to really strike an emotional chord with them? Imagine when you go up to your wife and you start kissing her and you tell her how beautiful she looks. Instead of her saying, thanks, honey, and moving on with her day, she wants to be intimate because she's super attracted to you. She respects how much work you've put into yourself and she sees how much improvements you've made and she's really attracted to you again, like when you first started dating. Imagine when your kids want to play with you. They tell you they want to play outside or they want to play sports. And instead of you telling them like, no, guys, dad's tired or like dad has work to do, and you secretly drown in shame because you want to be out there with them, you go, yeah, let's go. And you go and you start playing with them and hours go by without you even noticing because you're in amazing shape. Another scenario they could see themselves in is when you go to the beach with your family, you don't wear a shirt because you're embarrassed to be seen shirtless. You wear your shirtlessness. You're shirtless confidently and you feel good about how you look. You notice your wife checking you out again and you can play with your kids. Your kids know you're in great shape. I know one fitness coach I was working with, he's a buddy of mine. One of the things he told me that his client told him was that his kid said, wow, dad's ripped now. That's an amazing feeling for people when their kids see how great shape they're in. So how can you show them the benefits instead of just telling them? Telling them is like, hey, you need to do this. Hey, you're probably sick and tired of being like this. Showing them is telling a story in which they can see themselves in, or describing a scenario that's relevant to them, that happens to them, or they want to be, or that they want their life to look like. That's the key difference. And it's helpful to know where they want to go. It's helpful to know what they're willing to pay the most money in order to achieve, because then you can show them instead of telling, and you can tell stories that they want to see themselves in, or you can give them examples that they can relate to. That's super, super crucial. And then finally, you need to show them the vehicle as well as the pain points and the desired solutions. The reason this is so crucial is because as the market gets more saturated, there's more people in online business than ever. Everybody is evangelizing about the pain points and the desired solution. So in order for you to build another layer deeper of trust with your audience, you need to show them the vehicle. This is the example I always give people. Imagine there's 2 plane options you can take to fly from Toronto to Barcelona. One takes 6 hours and the other takes 30 minutes. At first glance, you might go, oh wow, the 30-minute one sounds amazing, and it's cheaper, so you go with that one. But when it's time to actually take off, there's no seats on the plane, you can smoke, there's no bathrooms, there's no overhead luggage, and you just have to sit on the floor. The odds of you getting on that plane ever again are zero because it's such an uncomfortable ride. It's absolutely not worth it, regardless of how much money you spent, and it puts you in a really bad spot. So your job as a marketer is to differentiate yourself, or your job as a coach, your job as a creator, is to differentiate yourself from all the other plane rides that are 30 minutes across the Atlantic and maybe $50 because it's a bad experience for the clients and it might not actually get them the result they want. Sure, they might get to Barcelona, but they hate it. Oh, and another example, I forgot this key factor. Imagine also that the pilot of that plane might just take them to Istanbul for funsies. So they might not even get to their preferred destination. They're choosing an option strictly on money, strictly on time, but they might not even get there. And even if they do get there, they're going to be upset and it's not a good experience. So for you to show them, hey, I can get you from point A to point B sustainably and you're going to enjoy it, you need to show them the vehicle. You need to show them the unique mechanism, which is what this section, Making It Sexy, is all about. So how do you create a unique mechanism? How do you create a vehicle that they're going to buy into? Number one, you need to ask yourself, is there a unique angle? Is there something here that I can see right away that's different from what everybody else in the market is talking about? Is there something in here that is going to stand out immediately as, wow, this is new and different from everything else I've seen? Your job is not to compete on the scale of better. Better implies, hey, you know the thing that you currently know, whether it's fitness, whether it's content, whether it's health and wellness, I'm going to provide marginal improvements on top of that. And so somebody's not as likely to spend high ticket on something that's a marginal improvement. They want to spend good money on something that gives them outsized returns. And the way that you can communicate that to them for them to see, okay, outsized returns on my health, is to introduce them to something new and different. Don't go blindly with the parameters of what they've already seen. This is why doing competitor research is so important. If you know what they've looked at, if you know what they've seen, if you know what they're skeptical to, you know how to position yourself as different. If everybody's talking about counting calories, if everybody's talking about working out 6 times a week, now you can find a unique angle in the marketplace. So if there's a unique angle that you can see immediately, you need to position it correctly. And we'll get to this in a little bit, and I'll go into this in more detail in a sec. But if there isn't, and you're not entirely sure what it is, you need to look for unique opportunities in their situation. So these 2 questions I asked here, what are their pain points and what are their desired situations? If you make a couple lists, listing out what their pain points are in detail, checking off the bleeding neck problems and what their desired situation is, and checking off the ones that they're willing to pay the most money in order to achieve, now you get to look for unique opportunities in their situation. So you now make a list of all the things that are going to get them from pain to desired outcome. You're going to check off the ones that get them there, that are the most efficient, that have the best results, but now you're going to highlight the checked off ones that people aren't talking about nearly as much. This is how you create unique opportunities for the situation in which they're going through. The next thing is, can you use your own social proof? Like, can this get results for them based on what you've done in the past? If you can, for yourself or for clients that you've already worked with, you need to talk about that. The third thing, and this is so crucial, is would you buy this yourself? If the answer is no, try again. Do the whole cycle again, because there are a lot of coaches, there are a lot of creators, there are a lot of people out there that are putting lipstick on a pig and they're trying to just sell something to get rich. They're trying to sell something just to make money. They wouldn't actually use it. I had a conversation with a former client of mine, and he was telling me, like, my content's not getting traction. People don't really seem to care about what I'm doing. I know I can help people out. And I asked him what his offer was, and it was very, very generic. And I asked him, like, well, would you buy this? And he's like, no. I'm like, then why would anybody else? And he's like, oh yeah, good point. If you would not buy this, if you were in the situation of your ideal client, try again. This is a very, very, very crucial step. And if it's yes, awesome. Let's move up here. So now there's a unique angle because you've gone through this. Now you need to position it correctly with the benefits. So the hot dog example is, when I was a kid, my cousin was a very picky eater. My grandma made us hot dogs one day for lunch, and sometimes when you boil hot dogs, they split down the middle. My cousin thought the hot dog was rotten. He wouldn't eat it. My grandma took the hot dog, turned around, flipped it so the smooth side was facing up, put ketchup on it, gave it back to him, and he ate it. That is elite positioning. So you need to understand, what do people say they want and what do they desire deeply in terms of transformation? Because sometimes what you know they need, they don't think they want. So for example, is a dating offer. A lot of guys need to be more secure. They need to stop being desperate. They need to stop being clingy. They need to heal their attachment style. They need to integrate their anima, their inner feminine essence, because this is what's causing them to make bad decisions with dating. This is what's causing them to attract women who mirror the relationship they had with their mom, or attract women who don't give them love, or attract toxic dating cycles and relationships in which they date casually, think a new woman's going to fix it, etc. They don't want to integrate their feminine. They don't want to be more secure. They don't want to do inner work for the most part. There's a small percentage of the market that does, but your job is to get people who are unaware to very aware. So you need to position it correctly as the smooth side of the hot dog, which is attract lasting love. Find a partner, find a wife, find a girlfriend that you can actually build with long term. There's ways that you can describe this in more detail to make it more sexy, but this is the basic understanding of it. You're not going to tell them all the intricate details of what your offer is about and what the features are of working with you. You're going to speak to them in language that they understand. You're going to speak to them in terms that they find valuable. How to attract lasting love with a woman that you can build with, instead of how to be more secure and sit with your inner feminine and do the integrated shadow work, the interdimensional shadow work to finally integrate your anima. They don't know what that is. So you need to speak in terms, and you need to speak in desires and benefits that they find valuable. And once you do that, then you have your home run offer. And it's much easier to sell high ticket when you have this entire equation understood, and it's obvious to your audience, it's obvious to your ICP, your ideal client profile, that you've done the market research and you've made it sexy. It's something that they want desperately. But anyways, that's today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you're new to the channel, please drop a like, subscribe, and if you have any questions for myself, you can comment or you can shoot me a message on Instagram. There will be a link down below in the description to my profile. And if you want my help and my business partner Nick Sweeney's help to create viral content that attracts aligned leads so you can sustainably grow your business through content, there is a link down below in the description to join Coherent Creators. It is an incredible community. We'd love to have you, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.